Welcome to another episode of Clarity and Confidence TV. I am so thrilled to have one of my dear friends join us today, Rachel Fox. She is an entrepreneur. She's an advocate for women and girls. She runs a nonprofit called You Go Girl. She is also a business owner and the mother of 11 gorgeous children. You have to see them. They are truly gorgeous. But I know I didn't do you justice, Rachel. So welcome. Tell us more just about yourself and anything that you want people to know about yourself, your family, animals, whatever.
Aw, thank you, first of all, for having me on your show. And you did a great job. I am all of those things. I am a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, a nonprofit founder, an advocate for women and girls, an advocate for those who feel that they have no voice. I stick up for the underdog. That is me. That I live to encourage people. I live to inspire people. I live to empower them because there were moments in my life when I didn't feel that way, and I want to give out of myself certain things that I wasn't given along my journey. So I'm glad to be here. And yes, I have 11 children. 7 of them I gave natural birth to. My newest addition is called Jackson Cooper Fox, and he is 7 months old. Love him to pieces. And my husband and I have a blended family. So we have a range from 7 months all the way up to 23 years old. So yeah, and we have a grandchild. So yeah.
Yay, congratulations. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so you said some words and now I'm seeing them flash in my head, but I often see Rachel Fox. Is it empower, encourage, inspire, or did I get say more about that?
It's encourage, empower, inspire, and that you can see that on my website. You can see that on my nonprofit's website, because that's the bedrock of our organization, is to encourage, empower, inspire all girls and women everywhere. That's our mission. That's my personal mission, one of them anyways, and that's something that I lead with all the time.
Mm-hmm. Say more about that. I would love to hear, like, how did you come up with that? And why do those 3 words, why do they resonate with your soul and what you want to create in the world?
Well, if you think about the word encouraging, it's something to, be able to let someone know that they're not alone, to encourage them when they feel down, to lift up their head. And if you've ever been in a place where you feel like you're in that sunken place that you've been down, it's the encouragement of other people that will bring you back and will let you know that, yes, you can do exactly what it is that you've been called to do. So that's one. Empower is basically, I'm handing you your own keys. You've already had this vehicle. You've already had the ability to do these things, but you need somebody to activate and empower you to be able to do what you have purposed in your mind to do. Maybe you need somebody to say, hey, it's okay. Maybe you need somebody to say, yes, you're enough. Maybe you need somebody to say, that's a brilliant idea, go for it. That's the empowerment factor that I love to give to people that I come in contact with. Some people are sitting on gold mines. They're sitting on brilliant ideas. They're sitting on their moneymaker, and they're like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this. But they encounter me or you, and they say, because of them, I can. Because they're empowered, I am also empowered. And then also inspiration. I wouldn't be here today without the inspiration of the people who have gone before me, grandmothers, mentors, teachers. They inspire me. Our first female African-American vice president-elect inspires me to know that it is possible to soar high and actually attain that which you set out to do. And in my life, the things that I've been able to accomplish and do in such a short span of time is inspiration for others. Maybe there's a mom out there of 11 children, and they're saying to themselves, I can't go for my master's degree. I can't own a business. I can't start a nonprofit organization. I can't do these things. I can't be a speaker. Well, now you're seeing in life, in living color, that there is someone that possesses all of those things, and yes, you can. And that's the inspiration piece.
Mm-hmm.
So those three things wrapped up in one is kind of something that embodies who I am. It's my lifeblood.
Yep.
So I don't like to have things really long and drawn out. If I could sum it up, what are the words that I could sum myself up in? And it's encourage, empower, and inspire.
Oh, and as someone who has worked with you, even though it was a million years ago, like if I could think of three words, like when we would like walk out of a room together after we had one of our deep conversations, like encouraged, empowered, and inspired, like absolutely. Like when I think of you, like those three words, like nailed it. I'm like, of course. And I know that women are going to feel, or whoever's watching this is going to feel that way when we're done. So we talk a lot about confidence on here, and I'm super curious, like what's your definition? How would you define true confidence?
True confidence is, to me, is being able to know who you are
Mm-hmm.
and be okay with who you are, unapologetically
Uh-huh. Yeah, the perfect shirt.
who you are, your flaws and all, they make up who you are, your unique ability, and to be able to stand in that and not shrink
Mm-hmm.
in the face of anyone or anything. That is true confidence.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. So when you're thinking about standing in front of people, what like self-talk or mantra, what helps you kind of step up or step forward instead of shrinking back? What have you found helpful?
You know, when I do talk to myself, I tell myself that I am capable.
Mm-hmm.
I tell myself I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be called to this moment if I weren't made for it. I'm made for this. I'm built for this. I'm strong. All the things that that little voice tries to tell me that I'm not, I counteract it with I am. I am that. I am enough. I am qualified. I am educated.
Mm-hmm.
I am well able to do this thing that I'm being called to do. And the people out there that I'm standing in front of, they need me.
Mm-hmm.
I need to also let go of that egotistical mindset that says that I'm not going to give out what I need to give out because it's about me. It's not about me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the people that have come to listen to what I have to say. And it's a message. When you feel like you are carrying a certain thing, like the mail carrier, they're carrying a piece of paper, they're carrying an envelope, they're carrying a package. If they don't deliver it to you, you won't get what you need to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a carrier. You are a carrier. And if we don't do what we have been called to do, we're doing the people a disservice by not standing up to that.
Yeah.
So those are the two things, talking myself to the ledge and then jumping off of it, because it's not about me. It's about the people that I'm meant to touch.
Oh my gosh, I needed that wisdom today. And I just had like this, like, I think amazing self-coaching question that I feel like I need to put on my like post-it line right below here that says, are you being a selfish mailman? Like, nobody wants a selfish mailman, right?
Nope.
That's a
Nope.
bad mailman. And I have a mailbox that sits right out here too. And that's just like a great prompt, like for all of us, right? When we get shared to
Absolutely.
like to share our ideas, and I'm just sharing an aha I'm having is like, how often do I have like a gift, right? Or a really important letter, you know, then of course that's a metaphor for an idea or something, but I'm being a selfish mailman. So I'm just going to keep that,
Mm-hmm.
put it in my pocket. Oh gosh, you always have pearls of
Mm-hmm.
wisdom. That's just amazing. So tell me
Yes.
more about a decision that you made where you felt like you had to break conformity and just really show up in your own confidence. Like, and it may have been hard because you had to really choose to honor yourself and do the unconventional thing, or the thing that just kind of broke conformity.
Yeah. So that's a great question. And I always draw back to when I chose to leave corporate America to pursue my own business and what is now my purpose. And the conformity piece of was the comfortability of a paycheck,
Mm-hmm.
not having to worry about health benefits, kind of mindless work because it was laid out before me, somebody else's vision, somebody else's business, somebody else's tools. And I was a mouthpiece for them and for that. And where the rubber met the road is when I looked at a 6-week-old baby and a sick child in the hospital, and saying to myself, do I abandon that for a business need, or do I fully go after my passion and then also be available to my children who need me the most?
Right.
And so the confidence was the fact that I had to be able to say goodbye to comfort and hello to the unknown.
Yeah.
And without the confidence to be able to say that, at the risk of maybe disappointing someone, at the risk of maybe not being liked, at the risk of, putting my employer in a bind, I needed to stay true to what my heart was telling me. My heart was saying to me, Rachel, you cannot go back. You have to go forward. And I had already been teeing myself up to start my own thing. I just did not have that push, that empowerment that I had needed. After vetting it out with myself and other people, I still didn't take that leap until I was faced with a situation that was like, it's either this or that.
Sometimes we're shoved into things, whether it's comfortable or not. It's crazy. So would you say that that is probably one of the most courageous decisions you've ever had to make in your career, or was there something else? Say more about that.
Career-wise, I would say yes, because I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced this, but in my career, I think I had been pulled along for the ride and not allowing myself to really navigate my own ship. I had only gone so far. I had only been able to go up the ladder so far, and then making lateral moves to this or to that position, or somebody telling me what they think would be good for me and not really sitting in that and saying, I want to do something else. I want to be something else, and not having that autonomy to be able to do such a thing. So that's really my career, living and allowing things to happen to me. That had been, up to that point, my stand, to say, I'm going to choose me this time. I'm not going to put anything or anybody else before the needs that I have. And I need to see this thing through. I need to see what's going to happen if I just let this go, let this paycheck go. And I've been such the provider for my family. I'd been a single mom before I got married a second time, and I had been the sole provider. And to be able to say, I'm going to let that go to see what this looks like, was one of those moments where it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to put yourself ahead of everybody else's wants or needs, especially that of an organization. And it was a great organization, still is, but it didn't serve my inner person. And so, yeah, that was a courageous moment. Other courageous moments maybe have not happened within my career, but definitely standing up as a mama bear with, systems, whether that's hospital systems, school systems, other systems of oppression, allowed me to use my voice authentically and unapologetically. So people can see that in who I am today. I'm not as censored as I was before. I'm living my truth.
So one of the ways I've always experienced you, Rachel, is that in your moments of advocacy and courageously stepping up, speaking against, hospital systems of oppression, in the Black Lives Matter movement, I've always seen you as having this crystal clear truth that it lives your three words. Like, you speak up in a way that's empowered, encouraging, and inspirational, that really, as maybe RBG says, like, you advocate what you want to create, and not in a hateful way, because that's just not who you are. How do you have and that's just so inspirational, I know, to me and so many other people who know you. In those moments where you need to speak up, like, what gives you your courage? Like, what gives you that fire to, like, speak and inspire in that sort of way? Is it something you can name?
I can't really put a recipe to it. Something just stirs up in my soul and the words come and they form and they take life. I'll take a notepad. I'll be up at 3 a.m. or at midnight and I can't sleep. I can't sit on this. I have a message that I need to get out, and it won't let me rest until I get it out. And sometimes I'm afraid. Sometimes I'm like, are people going to respond to this in the right way? Oh, what the heck, I've got to say it. I've got to put this thing out there. And I am true to myself. And every time I put something out there, I don't censor myself. I am true to keeping the peace. I am true to speaking my truth, whether somebody likes it or not. There have been people that disagreed with what I have said, and I give them that space to disagree. But then I also ask the tough questions of why they think that way. And I'm not afraid of that type of confrontation. But anything that I put out in the atmosphere is carefully thought through, but it comes from a burning in my soul where I have to speak up. I have to say something, because as a mom of Black sons, as a mom of Black daughters and biracial children, I cannot, and I have not even when George Floyd, or even before that with Tamir Rice, with Sandra Bland, with Ahmaud Arbery, with all these countless names that have come up. It hurts my heart. And I have a duty to speak up and speak out where it challenges, but it does not lend to more hate, because that gets us nowhere.
Right. You're so gifted at that. And you always have had that gift. And it's definitely inspirational to me. I can't speak for others, but I would assume it's inspirational for them too. It's such a gift. It's such a gift.
Thank you.
Talk to me more about what you're passionate about right now. What's something you're really thinking about that's really important that we should all be focusing on?
So right now in this space that we now have, we've been in an interesting predicament with 2020. It's lended us to a global crisis of a pandemic, and it's forced some of us into seclusion. And what it's also revealed is the need of mental health care. There are days where I'm overwhelmed and I can't really tell you why. There are days where I feel anxious and I can't really pinpoint why I'm feeling anxious, or I'll avoid certain people or situations. And it's because I'm not feeling well internally. And I think that I'm not the only one. My children experience it. Other folks' children are experiencing it. And I think that we've been so reluctant to talk about mental health because of the stigma that goes along with it, that that person's crazy, or they're not capable, or they need to be on medication. And if they are on medication, then they're not capable of being the leader that they are, the entrepreneur that they are, the nonprofit founder that they are, if you admit that you're unwell. And right now, it is one of my passions to undo that notion by sharing my stories and making sure that people know that, yeah, I'm a mom, wife, entrepreneur, stand-up person, advocate, and there are some days that I am just not okay. And I think that 2020 is a revealing, and if we lean into it, it can reveal a lot of things about ourselves that will actually become that healing that we need when we confront what it is that we truly feel.
Absolutely. How has 2020 in any sort of way, has it been, you talked about like your healing. Have you experienced any healing? Has 2020 given you any sort of weird healing from unexpected places?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sitting before you right now. I don't have on any makeup. I am here, my true authentic self. I don't feel like I have to hide or polish or do anything like that. And I think before 2020, you wouldn't have seen me come out of the house without makeup on, or, you know, or looking or being a certain way. And I'm okay with who I am now. It's been a blessing in disguise, really. I mean, not putting lightly the people who have passed on or who have gotten sick. My parents contracted COVID, and my niece did as well. It's been really hard. Thank God they made it through, but that was really tough to not be able to be with your family, and to worry about when your children maybe go out or come back, will they be safe? I mean, I have a child that has an autoimmune disease and she can't really go anywhere right now. It's hard, but at the same time, I have the opportunity to be here with them. I have the opportunity to work on my mess where nobody else can see it. I have the opportunity to take the time to reflect, to turn the things off, and to work on me. And that is the blessing. That is the healing, to be able to authentically admit that I'm a work in progress. That is something that I am very appreciative for 2020.
That's amazing. For women who are maybe feeling just the heaviness of 2020, what tips or what advice would you give them that you've taken? Because I mean, listen, I'm talking to the world's foremost expert here, and still looking at, you know, developing yourself during a pandemic because you have 11 children and a job, you know, amongst all your advocacy. So what's key? Like, how have you carved out that time for yourself? What have you had to do? What have you had to say yes to or no to?
Well, I was just talking to my husband about this today, because I was telling him I find it really hard to finish my morning pages because everybody starts getting up at a certain time. And I said, now I'm starting to realize I need to get up earlier, and I need to forego laying in my bed. I need to get up at like 6:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I am not the morning person. But if I want to get that self-care in while everybody else is napping or sleeping, I need to sacrifice and do that and get up earlier. And he's like, you're finally getting there. I'm like, yes, I know. I have that moment with myself where I'm like, I really love my bed, but I need to get up earlier so that I can get a jump start on my self-care. In the middle of the day yesterday, just for no random reason, I said, hey, Jenny, can you watch your brother really quick? I'm going to take a bath. I took a bubble bath. I wasn't dirty. I wasn't smelly. I just wanted to soak in the tub and just be away from people for an hour. Those are certain things that I hadn't done before. Just earlier this week, I took myself on a date and I bought something for me. Usually when I go out, I buy things for my kids, or I buy something that is a necessity. This time I just bought something random. I didn't need it, but I just did it, and I did it for myself. And putting yourself first, making yourself a priority, is something that I have really put into practice. I'm not always good at it. I don't always do the right things, but I am mindful, especially with my mental health, when I need to take a beat and take care of myself, so that I can do the best and take care of the other people around me.
That's amazing. So before we hit record, you and I were talking about your journey, right? And just some of the things you're thinking about right now. And we talked about a book that you picked up. And so say more about that.
Oh, it's called The Artist Way. And I was actually on Instagram, and I was just kind of scrolling through, and somebody went live, and I clicked on their video on accident, but they were talking about things they didn't like about workplaces and things like that. And I thought it was kind of funny. They were talking about Zoom meetings and people doing silly virtual backgrounds and stuff like that. And then they start talking about their journeys and themselves and getting in touch with themselves. And they brought up The Artist's Way. So I went on Amazon and I just bought it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try this out. And it's a 12-week program that you take yourself through, or you can do it with a group of friends. And it really has you to uncover that inner creative within yourself. And she's not paying me to say anything about this. I don't know the woman, and I don't know her name, but if you Google or go on Amazon and search The Artist's Way, it is something that has already been transformative to me, and I've only been doing it for 1 week. So I was just talking about the morning pages. You do 3 pages of just whatever's on your mind, just write, don't think about it, and definitely don't go back and read it or let anyone else read it. And then you take yourself out on an artist date once a week. Just plan to go somewhere and just take in what it is that's around you. And I've done that. And I really, you don't really understand that it's working until you start talking about it with somebody else. I didn't know how it was working for me. I'm like writing these pages. I'm like, all I'm doing is complaining
Yeah.
about all this stuff.
Gotta go
But
somewhere
then, yeah, it's got to go somewhere. And I think what that's doing, it's cleansing me of all the stuff that I've covered my creative with. And now I think at the end of the 12 weeks, I'll be able to finish something instead of starting it and stopping it because I feel like it's crap, i.e. my book or any other thing that I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah. You
So it's really
mentioned
good.
that you found it helpful in helping you find your voice. Say more about that.
Yeah. So I am in the process of writing a book about imposter syndrome, and I'm pretty much done with it, but I kind of did not feel like it was my true authentic voice. I felt like I was writing a research paper, and I'm like, nobody needs to read anything else like that. I need to find my true authentic voice. And at the end of the 12 weeks, if my writing is what it is, then I will know, but I won't know until I go through this process. And I'm trusting the process, I'm trusting God, and I'm trusting myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already discovering that I have put a really good polish on a lot of the things that I do and I say. And I'm allowing myself to be unfiltered.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like it.
That's good.
I kind of like the girl that I'm turning out to be.
Mm-hmm. You know, you gave me once the world's best piece of advice, and I'm gonna get all emotional, and it relates to this. I was going through a really hard time in my life, making a really difficult life decision, probably one of my most difficult life decisions. And I think in that moment too, right? You don't know your voice. Like, well, what should I do? What's the right thing? Because you're like underneath all of this pressure of like, well, what will people think? And what does a good girl do? What does a right girl do? What does, what am I expected to do? And, sometimes that gets really cloudy, and I just remember you looked at me and you said, Kelli, God is not the author of chaos. He is the author of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, and I still like, that is like my
Wow.
number one piece of advice that every time I think of you, I just always remember, like, you taught me what my still small voice sounds like and my inner small voice sounds like. And I think at the end of the day, when I think about what is your true voice, it will never feel, like your advice was the best. I mean, it's like, it will never feel chaos.
Yeah.
Like, it will never feel icky. It will never feel coerced or forced or heavy or shackles on. Like, it will always feel free and peaceful and expansive. And so I love that you're undertaking this project, because if I can think about like just a legacy of impact you've had on my life, it's always been through that moment. So thank you.
Oh, that just warms my heart, and it comes right back to me in so many ways, and empowers me and inspires me because I need to take my own advice. And that's what I was telling, someone too. I was like, I need to be the one that sips my own Kool-Aid. And sometimes I do. Sometimes I drink it, but sometimes I make that Kool-Aid and I sit it on the counter.
Yeah.
And I'm not I'm not sipping it, I'm not drinking it, and I'm sure I'm not smelling it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm talking about something, or when I put out my best work, if it's my first piece of work, I want it to be, if that's the only thing you read from me ever in my life,
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be from my flesh,
Mm-hmm.
from me, not something that you've read before, that's regurgitated, that's already been done or said before. I want you to know my story, and through my story, then you will be able to get that healing, that peace, or whatever it is that you need, or a good laugh, because Lord knows I'm full of them.
Yeah.
But I've got to find her first. And when I do, then the world will know it.
Absolutely. I think I heard once too, and one of the things I tell my clients is lots of times when we're looking to find ourselves, it's not about finding anything, it's about removing everything that's in the way of it. And so I hope that
Yep.
your morning pages help you just remove everything that's in the way of what's already there. So I would just love to close this. Like, what are just a few things in your life right now, whether it's a podcast, a book, a movie, an experience that just makes you feel good, that boosts your confidence? What have you found? What are you enjoying? Maybe it's a person that you follow or something.
Let me see if I can find her. What is her name? All right. Her name is Bazoma St. John.
Okay.
And she is the Global Chief Marketing Officer at Netflix. And she's actually the one I was listening to that revealed The Artist's Way. I'm also actually reading Barack Obama's new book, The Promised Land, and it's really good. It's a really good read. An app I just downloaded is called Headway, and it basically gives you these summaries of different books based upon what you're trying to accomplish in your life or whatever. For me, I'm trying to just be more progressive in what I'm doing and make sure that I'm, accomplishing something at the end of the day, whether that be putting on an eyelash or combing my hair, making sure nobody died, just the small goals.
Yeah.
But that's a really good app that I just downloaded. The Artist's Way. Can't say enough about it. I'm really raving about it. And I think any process will work for you if you're open to the process.
Totally.
It won't work for you if you don't want to work it. So I could suggest the books that you should read. I could suggest all the things that you should do. But if you don't lean into it, and if you are not willing to give your full self to it, trusting yourself, trusting the process, and trusting God, it will not work. So first of all, you need to make a commitment to yourself that whatever this person is suggesting for me to do, I'm going to do it. Whatever book that I'm committing to read, I'm going to read it to the last page in the index. Okay. That's what I would suggest for anybody to do.
Oh, you got littles. Any final parting thoughts that you want people to know that we haven't talked about?
No, I think that is it. If you ever want to connect with me, you can look me up on any social media channel for now that as long as I'm on it, or you can reach me from my website, racheldfox.com.
And all your social media is Rachel D. Fox, correct?
Yeah.
You're Instagram. I know you're on LinkedIn. And are you on Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, they can find you. And trust me, you guys want to follow Rachel. I love following you on Instagram. I think that's maybe where I see you the most, because that's where I hang out the most. It doesn't mean you're not on Facebook, and LinkedIn as well. I think that you post interesting things, and I always think you share really relevant stuff. So yes, definitely go and check her out. So Rachel, thank you so much for taking the time and taking the time out of your day. I know it is precious, so I appreciate you sharing all of your wisdom.
Thank you, Kelly. Be well.
You too.